have to do research. For example, when I saw my research project that was offered, electrodeposition of zinc oxide for hybrid solar cells, there are a lot of words in the title that I do not know. So even though I saw the word solar cells, it was attractive to me, but there are also other words that I had to ensure that I really like what I'm doing. For example, electrodeposition. Am I comfortable with that? And I know some of my friends, they choose a topic on bio. So what they have to do is they have to harvest some glands or muscles, and they have to extract a certain enzyme out of that muscles. Now it's a very hands-on bio kind of FYP project, and some of my female friends are very squirmy when it comes to this bio stuff that moves on the table. So again, you must identify something that you're comfortable with. If you're not, if you don't really like the project, try to choose one that you like. Do research. Next, talk to people. Okay. For example, like when I came out with this talk, I talked to one of your year 3 friends. His name is Adi, and I got his permission before I actually print screen this, yeah? So don't be afraid. When you want to do a project, you have to talk to people. For example, talk to your professors. That's what Prof. Xiao has said. It's always good to start early, to talk to your professors early. What are his or her expectations of you, and what must you do? How many hours per week must you commit? Are there any special things that you have to take note of? Chemicals that you'll be working with. For example, cadmium that is toxic, or titanium chloride that is also toxic. So these are the things that you want to take note of. I mean, you do not want to lose a hand after 1 year. You still want to preserve what you have now. So talk to people. You can talk to seniors, professors, and sometimes even people in the lab, just to find out more. So now I'll go to the last part. Any tips on surviving the FYP? Okay, this is very interesting. Ready, you must always be ready to change perceived knowledge. What do I mean by that? For example, you've already chosen a topic. Let's take my topic for example. I've taken the topic of solar cells. Okay. Let's say I have a preconceived knowledge that when I do A, I'll get B as a result. Okay. It's the same as in the past where people thought that the Earth was flat, but it turns out that hey, the Earth actually is round. So sometimes when you are doing an experiment, you use approach A, and you realize that there's no result in it. Don't always continue in that approach, because you may be wrong in your preconceived knowledge that you had. Now, to illustrate this point, I've provided an example from this journal, which I don't know if you can see, but it's taken from the Aesthetic Plastic Surgery by Dr. Ri Sang-chul. Okay, and I'm going to illustrate this point on how sometimes you must be ready to change preconceived knowledge that you have. And I'll ask Ms. Wang Pei-chin a question later, since she worked in Korea. Now, these are 3 phases. Okay, these phases were obtained from 50 models. Okay, they are not your average Jane, but models. And the nationality of these 3 phases came from China, Korea, and Japan. Now, all of us have some form of exposure to this Chinese drama, Korean drama, and Japanese drama. But if I were to pose this question to you, can you identify which phase belongs to which nationality? Can you answer all 3 questions correctly with your preconceived knowledge? Now take a few minutes to make a guess. China, Japan, and Korea. Just these 3 countries. So Ms. Wang, we're just going to make a guess which one looks like a lady from Korea, since you were there for your ID.
Number 1 or number 2?
So what was the answer?
Number 2.
So your guess is that the 3rd phase belongs to Korea. Okay. Would anyone like to disagree with her? So I presume all of you agree with her. Now for the answer. Okay, Ms. Wang is correct. So your 6 months is actually well spent. Wow. So you see, some of you, I can see you, shaking your head. So you can see that sometimes preconceived knowledge that you have may not always lead you to the truth. It's the same for FYP. Your seniors or mentors may tell you that, okay, if you follow method A or B, you'll get results C and D. But sometimes life is more complicated than that, just like these 3 phases. Okay. So far, I posed this question to a few of my friends, and only 1% got all 3 correct. And guess what? She watched a lot of these dramas. So this is the first tip. Be ready to change your preconceived knowledge. Now second, work hard. Initially, after choosing a project, your mentor will throw you papers to read. And when I say papers, it's not just empty foolscap papers, but papers published in journals where there are terms and formulas that you have never seen or heard of in your life. That is where hard work comes in. Okay, because ultimately you're entering a field which is new to you, and if it is possible, you're trying to contribute to that field with some novel or new knowledge, if possible. Okay, so working hard is very important. And lastly, read widely. Okay, for all you know, your project may just be one small box out of the whole topic. For example, solar cell itself is a very, very big topic. Are you talking about inorganic? Are you talking about silicon, amorphous, CIGS, so many? And among organic solar cells in that field, there are also many, many subfields. And within that subfield, there are many sub-subfields. And within that sub-subfields, there are many sub-subfields. So you can see your topic is just a speck in the forest. It is very big. So it will be good and helpful if you can really read around or read widely to better understand what you're going to do. Because by then you won't be asking, why am I doing this? But you will be able to answer that question yourself. So with that, I presented my FYP talk. Yeah, with these three topics. Why did I choose my project? I chose solar cells because there's a large potential. Second, how to choose your project. There are three tips that I've shared. And finally, some tips on surviving the FYP. So thank you for your time, and I wish all of you a fruitful FYP year.
Next we will have Ms. Yong Ying who will share with you more about collider self-assembly. Thank you. Okay, I'm not going to tell you too much about collider self-assembly because I'm not sure if all of you are very interested in it. It's a relatively new topic that even I don't really understand yet. I'm still finding my way around it. So I will tell you a little bit about it, what I'm doing, so that if you're interested, you can find out more from me later. I will share about the project selection process, like what Stephen shared about also, why it's really very important, and also some of my own personal experiences that I think will help you feel less fearful about FYP. Okay, this is the title of my project. I think you might not, you probably understand the words if I give you one by one, but I guess you will understand if I put them all together. So what I do is I put a droplet of solution on a wafer substrate, and the amazing thing that happens is this droplet, when it comes into contact with the water surface, the bulk water surface, there's a sort of spreading that occurs. The droplet, the solution will just spread out naturally. I don't do anything to it. I just poof, and it goes boom out into the water surface. And even more interesting is that the polystyrene, well, I'm using polystyrene particles, but it could be other particles as well. The polystyrene particles will self-assemble. I don't know when it occurs, and I don't know how it occurs, but I know that they self-assemble because after that I see a very nice layer of polystyrene, and I can actually pick it up with a wafer substrate. So very interesting, right? Yeah, that's about my project. So the basis of my project is to try to understand what is happening, because this is a relatively new topic, not many people understand about it yet. So yeah, that's all I will say about it. If you're interested, you can ask me again later. So I'll continue on to the project selection part. Why I think it's very important. Can I just have a show of hands? How many of you are year 3 over here? Okay, not a lot. And out of this little bunch of people, how many of you actually started thinking about FYP? Which professor you want to work under? Congratulations, nobody. Okay, I'll tell you what. Last year at this time, right, I was still doing my IA, and I really never think about FYP at all. I was thinking like, oh, so far away, I got 4 more months. But one fine day I was enjoying lunch and I came back from lunch and then my IA mate said, "Hey, see you later, see you tomorrow, I'm going off already." I said, "Oh, where are you going?" She said, "Oh, I'm on half day, I'm going to meet my FYP prof." I said like, "What? It's only March eh?" Okay, I really got a shock. But the thing is that when it comes to FYP, right, I think MSE, in my opinion, is quite kiasu. And I don't say it in a bad way, I say it in a good way. It's good to be kiasu about your FYP. Why? Because it's 10 AUs, because it's stretched over 2 semesters. And if you're only thinking of it as, oh, it's just a 10 AU course, just, more AUs and all, that's not really the case. It's much more than that. The effort you put in, it's just like how the professors determine your coursework. They take a very, very long time to determine what you should study over your next 4 years. You should put in the same kind of attitude to what you want to do with your FYP. So start early. And the thing is that you have to know your strengths and weaknesses when it comes to choosing your project. For example, I don't like to stay in the lab very long. So I decided, okay, I don't want to do any project that need me to stay in lab for 10 hours a day. Any project that, okay, I have to look after my experiment for 5 hours, no way, I don't want. And if you are someone who, let's say, very good at observation, you might consider the kind of project where you do a lot of FEM, you need to look at the picture, you need to zoom in, find what's there. Yeah, and if you're someone who, let's say, you're someone who likes to look at things that move around a lot, things that jump around in biology or whatever, you should know what's your interest, what's your strength and weakness as well, so that you can find the kind of project that's suited for you. And also, you need to consider, next slide please, which professor you want. So that, I'm not saying that this is one of the professors in MSE. Fortunately, we don't have that. But there are many professors and there are different professors. So each professor will have different expectations. You need to go and talk to them and find out what's their expectations, find out what field they are working in and what projects you will be able to work under them. So apart from just the technical aspect of choosing your project, you also need to consider, because it's 1 year. If you find boyfriend, girlfriend, also you have to consider very carefully before you say, okay, yes, I want to pak tor with you. It's a 1 year relationship with the professor, so you need to be very certain of your choice. And yeah, so don't regret after you've made your choice. Actually, if you want to choose the professor, they might not want to choose you also lah. So, try to be on your best behavior when you meet them as well. Okay. Some of my personal experiences. Actually, a lot of us are very fearful of FYP before we start. In my year 3, I was like, oh, FYP coming, stress. But really, it's just a process that you go through. It's just like, find job, stress. But you get over it. And the thing is that what we're trying to do here is to help you feel less fearful. Some things that you should expect from FYP and some things that you should look forward to. Be happy that you're doing FYP. So these are some of the questions that I had while doing my FYP. And the answer is mostly dependent on your project. But when do you start? As early as possible. Like I say, be kiasu, be very, very kiasu. Will I ever finish? I don't think so lah. And the good thing is that it's actually a very good training for you, because I realized as I go through my job application that a lot of the technical jobs for material science students involve a lot of reading, a lot of background research about whatever you're going to work on. So the FYP is a very good time for you to start training yourself to read effectively, efficiently, because if you are thinking of a career in material science related field, you definitely will have to do a lot of reading after